Islam and greetings, Moors. Welcome back to another episode of Pardon the Interjection. I am your host, Supreme L. Today is Friday, January 30th, 2015. And as again, I want to thank you, all my listeners and viewers, because you could be anywhere listening and watching anything else, but yet you chose to listen and watch with me. What we do on Pardon the Interjection is bring literature to help uplift fallen humanity, because that is our job as humanitarians, as nationals, as indigenous persons, people, and the likes. Today, our topic is A Nation Beguiled. And we start off, U.S. corporation silently positions for martial law as financial collapse arrives in America. Rex 84, King Alfred Plan. The U.S. government has been scheming on how to provide for continuity of government for many decades now. According to Peter Centelli, an informant who is an ex-Marine and worked on portions of the contingency plans known as Rex 84. Civil unrest will come after a financial collapse. The Readiness Exercise 1984, aka Rex 84, outlines continuity of government wherein the U.S. Constitution is suspended, martial law is declared, and the U.S. military command take over state and local governments in order to ensure stabilization of our nation at any cost. Any American who is deemed a national security threat would be detained in an internment or FEMA camp. The author of Rex 84 is Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North, National Security Council, NSC, White House aides and NSC liaison to FEMA. Rex 84 is the plan. The triggers are a series of executive orders. It is the continuity of government under specific contingency strategies that are laid out in various operations guides manuals. Operation Garden Plot is a sub-program of Rex 84. Twice Rex 84 was implemented, during the LA riots and on 9/11. In these scenarios, only small portions of the entire set of documents were used. Within the series of contingency plans, implementation of them depends on the severity of the situation. Some of the plans include internment camps where all or portions of the active or inactive military bases would be transformed into work camps where all considered to be dissident would be held. The NORTHCOM, NORTHCOM, in all capital letters, Army manuals clearly state that NATO forces will be used in every phase of the operation. According to Santilli, procedures to move Conventional, commercial, and chemical nuclear bombs across the nation without detection have been facilitated without notice by the U.S. military. Back in 1986, during his military service, where he was involved with weapons transportation, Santilli describes how an unmarked refrigerated trailer driven by a civilian driver who was used to transport chemical or conventional weapons to various strategic bases both above and underground. Santilli was a specialist in aviation deployed weapons, which made him the perfect candidate to the assignment of weapons transportation. The refrigerated truck allocated by the administration department on base was directed to the commissary, where the unsuspecting driver believed that he was transporting food. The weapon was placed at the head of the trailer and covered up with either food stores, like cans of soup, or body bags. In the event that the truck is stopped en route, the weapon would be well hidden and go undetected by inspectors on the public highways. A U.S. military Marine Corps bill of lading was the paperwork necessary to move the commercial refrigerated truck to weigh stations on public highways without any question. Santilli remembers that there was no one incident where he had to enact any security measures to ensure the delivery was made. Santilli, who was assigned to ride in the cab of the truck with the driver, says that his orders were to make sure the truck arrived at its destination. He was informed by his superiors that if there were problems concerning potential civil unrest, he was to radio into his superiors for aid by either air or ground support. Should the situation warrant serious attention, crowd control methods would be implemented. One possible scenario was the use of cluster bomb units, CBUs, that will emit upon detonation a sleep and kill chemical. Let's go back and say that again, family. One possible scenario was the use of cluster bomb units. Pardon the interjection. CBUs, cluster bomb units, that will emit upon detonation a sleep and kill chemical weapon that will not disturb infrastructure but is lethal to all living things within the affected zones. Affected zone. Santilli describes these particular 3 units, CBUs, are as shaped like water heaters with a cone top and plunger-like device. Once deployed in the air, a parachute assists these CBUs to the targeted area. And when detonated, a deadly chemical gas will kill every human and animal in the specified cornered area. This is just one example, says Santilli. As to the lengths the U.S. Armed Forces are trained to make sure continuity of government is preserved. Occupation. Unlawful occupation. And we continue. Santilli explained that the use of foreign troops on U.S. soil, as described in Rex 84 and other subsequent manuals, would have a twofold purpose. Firstly, to provide extra security in designated areas, cities, or highways, and secondly, scapegoats where violent action used against American citizens should the U.S. military be directed to attack civilians. The refrigerated truck carrying the chemical and commercial and conventional weapon with Santilli riding shotgun traveled to underground bases like the one at Yoma Proving Ground, which is a ammunition testing range for pilots, nestled underneath the ground in a secret military base. Santilli explains that his knowledge of Rex 84 provides that within the document, one of the scenarios that would cause a complete suspension of the U.S. Constitution, Bill of Rights, and implement martial law would be a financial collapse. He says once the collapse occurs, the U.S. government and defense agencies estimate, pardon me, He says once the collapse occurs, the U.S. government and defense agencies estimate they have a 72-hour window to activate all procedures to ensure continuity of government as well as lockdown of the general population as civilian unrest, riots, and outbreaks of violence are anticipated. A source in the Deutsche Bank claims that in 2008,